Hello, this is the 59th lecture of Revelation and World History. Last time, we finished the lectures on chapters 1 through 7 of Revelation and World History. We have finished the first half of the 12-chapter lecture series and have now entered the second half. We covered very important themes in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. We examined the substantive identity of the two beasts, appearing in Revelation chapter 13. We also identified the figure corresponding to the beast with two horns like a lamb, namely, 666. And the community comprising the 144,000. Furthermore, we historically substantiated the relationship between Gog and Magog and Babylon. And we looked into history to find out what kind of war the Battle of Armageddon was. In this lecture, we will examine the dictator's policy of idolization. Revelation and World History, Chapter 8, Section 2. The dictator's policy of idolatry. Let us look again at the text of Isaiah chapter 14. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn! How you have been cut down to the earth, you who laid low the nations! You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I shall sit on the mountain of the assembly in the far north. I will ascend above the highest clouds, I will make myself like the Most High. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 14. Roman emperors called themselves gods, and considered themselves the most honorable ones in the world. Likewise, Stalin also idolized himself. When Stalin was young, he was once a seminary student. He may have wanted to sit in God's place, while denying the existence of God after seizing power. Stalin advanced the process of self-idolization during the period of the Great Purge, a time of terror. His reign of terror made people swear allegiance to him, at least outwardly. It also made it impossible for the people to conduct themselves any other way than to worship him. In 1938, Stalin ordered the Central Committee to publish the biography of Stalin. By highlighting the fact that Stalin himself was a great leader, it sparked a fervor of Stalin worship. The 18th Party Congress was held in January 1939. The party organizing committee also prepared a song, titled, Long Live Comrade Stalin, our leader, teacher, and friend. We consulted Robert Service's Stalin, Power of Steel. The phenomenon of a personality cult surrounding Stalin had already begun even before that. In December 1929, the Soviet Union held massive events to celebrate Stalin's 50th birthday. Thousands of congratulatory letters poured into the Kremlin, not only from state officials, but also from ordinary citizens. The state organ, Pravda, published a special supplementary edition, featuring an article praising Stalin in exaggerated language. It praised Stalin using terms such as, dear leader, great and extraordinary genius, man of steel, and cornerstone of the Bolshevik Party. We consulted Tomos Hubler's A History of the World Through Figures, Stalin. Furthermore, on December 19, 1939, around Stalin's 60th birthday, Pravda published the following article, There is no name on earth comparable to Stalin. Stalin shines brightly, like the torch of freedom. Furthermore, it flutters like a flag of struggle for millions of workers around the world. Stalin is the Lenin of the present. Stalin is the brain and heart of the party. Stalin is the banner of millions fighting for a better life. We consulted Richard Overy's Dictators, Hitler versus Stalin. Furthermore, Stalin even falsified his own photographs to accelerate the process of his idolization. The following is an excerpt from a book by the French author Alain Joubert. The Idolatry of Stalin. An article praising Stalin was published in the December 21, 1929, issue of the Pravda newspaper. Pravda published an article celebrating the 50th birthday of Iosif Vissarionovich Djugashvili, a Bolshevik from Georgia. He has long enjoyed using the name Stalin, that is, Man of Steel. He is the person who was elected General Secretary of the Communist Party 7 years ago. In other words, he was elected as the de facto head of state of the Soviet Union. The numerous large headlines and massive portrait photographs were unparalleled for anyone else. Fanatical praise was written across several columns. It was right from that moment that the phenomenon of nationwide obedience and admiration began to appear. Compared to the events that occurred in the years that followed, this level could be considered still modest. Superlative expressions, exaggerated praise, and endlessly repeated slogans were rampant. It evoked images of overflowing worship of a god and collective prayer. Various pamphlets and books were repeatedly printed, reaching 500,000 copies. Across the nation, a crowd of enthusiastic and flattering sycophants numbered in the millions. In this way, the life of the father of the people was fabricated from beginning to end. All manner of false historical documents, indispensable for making the allegory believable, were created as needed. Various types of photographs were altered and mass reproduced. The dictator's face was hung everywhere, from government offices to even small houses. The slavish submission and worship of this new idol soon reached its peak. Later, several Russians were dragged to correctional labor camps and sentenced to 5 years in prison, simply for inadvertently tearing up a newspaper containing a photograph of Stalin. It is no exaggeration to say that all the photographs circulating in history books were altered. Under Stalin, propaganda photography had become a full-fledged industry. Furthermore, photographs boasting of achievements in major construction projects or industrial endeavors were displayed everywhere. However, hidden behind this facade was the largest forced labor camp, one that no civilization had ever created. We consulted Alain Joubert's The History of Political Power and Information Manipulation. Stalin devoted such fervent effort to the process of personal idolization. However, upon his death, his successor Khrushchev launched the de-Stalinization campaign. Upon Stalin's death, he was expelled even from the grave, where he had originally shared it with Lenin, and moved outside the Kremlin. He also met a miserable end, with his statues destroyed, and his photographs burned. And he who sees you will look at you intently and examine you closely, saying, "Is this not the one who shakes the earth, who terrorizes the nations, who lays waste the world, who destroys cities and who does not release his captives home?" Isaiah chapter 14 verses 16 to 17. During the Cold War, the people of non-communist countries were wary of the Soviet Union's policy of communist expansion. One reason for this may be the fear caused by Stalin's reign of terror. Those who witnessed Stalin's Great Purge had a strong perception firmly established in their minds that communist politics is synonymous with dictatorship and coercive rule by the secret police. But now, you shall be cast down to Sheol, to the very bottom of the pit. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 15. Those who witnessed the history of the 20th century would earnestly hope that dictators like Hitler and Stalin would never appear again in human history. Even Khrushchev, one of the Soviet Union's top leaders, placed Stalin's coffin in a pit beneath the Kremlin walls and filled it with tons of cement. This was likely intended to ensure that he would never again emerge from the grave into the human world. We consulted Brenda Haugen's Stalin, a failed revolutionary trapped in the swamp of power. We can see the astonishing fact that the description of the Babylonian Empire, recorded in the text of the prophetic books, exactly matches the actual appearance of the Soviet Empire. Through this, it has become clear that the prophecies concerning Babylon, appearing in the books of Revelation, Jeremiah, and Daniel, are prophesying about the same history. In the last lecture, we identified the identity of the seven-headed beast, rising from the sea among the two beasts appearing in Revelation chapter 13. It was the Soviet Union. The supreme leaders of the Soviet Union were Lenin, Stalin, Khrushchev, Brezhnev, Andropov, Chernenko, and Gorbachev, a total of 7 people. The Soviet Union was ruled by 7 leaders, existed for 70 years, and then disappeared. Isaiah chapter 14 records a song about a certain king of Babylon. He is Stalin, one of the 7 supreme rulers mentioned earlier. Stalin is the figure who turned 1/3 of the world into a communist state. He was a dictator who purged or caused the deaths of tens of millions of his own people. In the next lecture, we will examine Chapter 8 Section 3, Kim Il-sung and Stalin. It was the Bible History School.